Have you ever imagined what it would be like to go back in time and change something? It's a thought that crosses everyone's mind at some point. Today, we're diving into stories of people who might have actually experienced it. Time travel is one of those concepts that captivates us all. While it might seem far-fetched according to the laws of physics, it's not entirely impossible. In fact, someone might have already done it. We just won't find out until much later. There are tales and images floating around that some believe could be proof of time travelers among us. What do you think? Is time travel for real? Here are 3 unexplained evidence of time travel. This one is a really strange account which remains unanswered. The story goes like this. On a hot afternoon in July 1954, a man arrived at the Haneda Airport, also known as the Tokyo International Airport. Described to be a Caucasian man with a beard, this man is known to have been French, but he was pretty fluent in other languages as well, including Japanese. Now, there are a couple of versions to the story. Some say that the man handed over his passport to be stamped by the Japanese immigration officials when the officers realized that while the passport seemed perfectly fine, the country where it was issued, Taured, did not exist in real life. In another version, the man mentioned that he was from Taured, and when the officers didn't believe him, he showed his passport. Either way, the man tried his best to convince the officers that Taured does in fact exist in real life. He claimed that it was located in between France and Spain. He claimed that his hometown wasn't new either, and said it had been around for the last 1,000 years. Eventually, when the man was shown a world map, he pointed to the area which is currently the Principality of Andorra. He genuinely seemed confused as to why the authorities were hell-bent on calling this place Andorra. Eventually, the immigration officers arrested the man on suspicions of being a criminal. To interrogate him further and figure what in God's name was going on, he was shifted to a hotel nearby. 2 guards were positioned outside his room, but guess what happened when they went to check on the man the next day? Poof, vanished. There were no signs of his escape. Even the documents he was carrying with him, which could have been used as evidence of this man's existence, disappeared as well. Could he have been a man from the future? Or more interestingly, could he be living in a parallel universe where Andorra is known as Taured? More logically, all this could also be the work of a talented storyteller. Unfortunately, there's no way to tell. John Titor, an alleged American soldier, claimed to be sent back from the year 2036 to save the world's timeline. He posted on a spate of internet forums in the early 2000s, originally under the name of TimeTravel_0. At the time, Titor's messages caused a stir because they appeared to place him across 3 separate generations. According to him, he was first sent back to the year 1975 to regain an early IBM 5100 computer. The retro machine was apparently needed to prevent computing problems in the future, a reference that some of Titor's audience took as relating to the year 2038 problem, a predicted Y2K-style computer glitch, scheduled to happen 2 years after Titor's original time. The seeming time traveler explained his appearance at the turn of the century, though, as him simply stopping off on his way home. In his posts, Titor made various references to an imminent civil war in America between the years 2004 and 2015, and even to the outbreak of World War III shortly afterwards. Today, we know that that didn't happen, but believers claim there's a ready-made explanation at hand. Crucially, Titor also advocated the many worlds theory of reality as being the correct one. It was something which he suggested was common knowledge by 2036. And it's an important part to the story because it effectively means that any predictions Titor made that didn't come true could be explained away by it. So the theory goes, his reappearance in 2000 could have caused a split in the timeline, and fortunately for us, that split meant that war in this world was avoided. So what do you think? Did John Titor save the world, or was it all just an elaborate hoax? Air Marshal Sir Robert Victor Goddard was a senior commander during the Second World War, and during a flying mission in 1939, he believed he experienced what time travel buffs refer to as a time slip. He was flying over a disused Air Force base in the village of Drem, East Lothian, when he claimed to have seen it change before his very eyes. Researcher and writer J.H. Brennan documented Sir Robert Goddard encounter in his book, Time Travel, A New Perspective. According to Brennan, Air Marshal Sir Victor Goddard flew into a parallel universe by mistake. Back in 1935, when he was still a wing commander, Sir Goddard was instructed to inspect an inactive airbase located in Drem near Edinburgh in Scotland. While flying over it, Sir Goddard found the airbase to be in a poor state with cattle grazing on the wild grass that had now forced its way through the tarmac. It was in complete shambles. Later on, while flying his biplane, he got into a bit of trouble thanks to the harsh weather conditions. To avoid an accident, Sir Goddard decided to fly back to the airbase till the weather cleared out a bit. As he approached the airbase, the torrential rain oddly and very abruptly gave way to bright sunshine. sunshine. If that wasn't odd enough, he also noticed that the airbase was in mint condition and in use. He even spotted mechanics wearing blue overalls working on the yellow planes parked on the runway. The planes weren't the ones in use by the Air Force back then. In fact, Sir Goddard even failed to recognize one of them. Funny, because instant renovation of the place couldn't have been possible. And more importantly, these guys weren't even wearing the khaki-colored uniforms that were a norm then. Also, the Air Force painted all their planes in silver, not yellow. Completely baffled by what the hell was going on, Goddard got the shock of his life 4 years after. Europe was war-torn and he happened to visit Drem again. But this time, he saw everything he saw 4 years back in 1935. Same, people in blue overalls servicing yellow planes. Full deja vu moment. He even found the plane he couldn't recognize before, a Miles Magister. Did Sir Goddard fly 4 years into the future? Skeptics say that Goddard might have simply been confused about his location, but that's too simple an explanation. Also, could an acclaimed officer like him make such an elementary mistake? Sir Goddard passed away in 1987, so I guess we'll never have an answer. So what do you think? Could these stories be evidence of real-life time travel? Maybe one day someone will come from the future and actually show us instead of just saying they came from another time. So comment your thoughts down below and hit that subscribe button. It helps out so much. Until next time, this is Top 3 TV and I'm out of here.